We are very fortunate to be in this space at the Louisville Urban League, considering that our leader is inspiring and motivating and has such an influential position in our community. Our leader is our keynote speaker for this afternoon. She is known to be the first female president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League, the first Black woman to serve as Inspector General in Kentucky, the first Black woman to clerk for the Kentucky Supreme Court, former chief in the office of the mayor, former district court judge, and a mother of two brilliant and beautiful girls, Sydney and Winter. It is an honor this afternoon to introduce our keynote speaker, our glowing president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League, Ms. Sadiga Reynolds.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you all for that. Thank you so much for being here. What a beautiful room. This is amazing. I'm a little nervous now. I don't know if you stood already before I didn't say anything. Such an honor, privilege to be here. I'm going to do one thing that's really weird. I just want to take a picture of the lawn because this is amazing. Afraid I'll fall off the stage. I need to thank some people though. First, I want to thank Splendid Events LLC for helping us to put this event on. Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you to Sarah Trainer Graves, who is pregnant and is doing her thing. She might have been up all night. I have no idea if you've seen this woman running around with a clipboard. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you to Lyndon, who you hear over the loudspeaker. We call him the voice of God. We have for 3 years now. And to the entire staff of the Louisville Urban League, if you are in the room, and there is a chance that some of you have gotten bumped out of seats, but if you work for the Louisville Urban League and you are here, will you please stand? And let me just say this, the man on the video was talking about Dr. Williams. He was not getting our names mixed up. He's not talking about Reynolds, Williams. Dr. Williams is in the house. She does exist. She runs our workforce development program. And so Dr. Williams is somewhere, where are you, ma'am? Over there. Veteran. I just tried to get out of the way. Our Louisville Urban League Guild is here in the room with us as well. The young professionals are here in the room. I want to acknowledge you all and thank you all so much for being here. We also have a past board chair. H. David Hale, I believe, is here with us somewhere. And there he is, over there, yes. And acknowledgements. I have to do this because there is another luncheon going on in this city. There are a million other places that people could have been, and you are here in this room, so I'm going to take the time to acknowledge your presence. Federal Judge David J. Hale, who I probably am not supposed to announce, but I'm doing it. Hope there's no security issue there. He's in the room. I won't tell you where he is. And then some other folks. My former law partner, Judge Brian Edwards, Circuit Court Judge, is here with us today. Judge Angela McCormick-Bissick, Judge Derwin Webb, Judge Ann Delahanty, Judge Sean Delahanty, Judge Eric Hayner, Judge Sarah Michael Nicholson, Judge Erica Lee Williams. Councilwoman Mary Ann Butler is here with us today. And all these folks, if I've called your name, just stand up, please. Let people see you. I think it's important. Councilwoman Lee is here with us today. Councilwoman Barbara Sexton Smith. Councilman David James is here with us today, right here up front. I think Mary Ellen Wiedewall, I believe I saw her earlier. And then Jerry, the mayor for life. Well, I love Mayor Fisher, so don't even start. Just saying. Mayor Abramson is here with us along with his beautiful bride. Brittany Bashir, the wife of our Attorney General, is here with us. Mayor Fisher is joining us. He will be here shortly. And my predecessor is here, Mr. Ben Richmond. Followed a better man. He does not bother me, but he is there when I need him. He texts, he calls. When people complain and say, she's not like you, he said, yeah, it's all right. It'll be all right. And then there's some other folks. The Rebound Board is here. If you serve on the Rebound Board, please stand for us and acknowledge. Thank you so much for what you do every day in the city of Louisville. We've got a couple of wonderful LMPD officers sitting at my table. Actually, if you ladies would please stand. These are some high-ranking officials. Jim Host is here. And let me tell you, I just want to say, Jim Host is not somebody I have known for a long time, but he is somebody I called when I needed something, and he answered. And he continues to answer every time I call. He drives from Lexington to Louisville and does whatever is needed. And he makes me feel like I can do anything if he's gonna help me out. And his wife is here with him, who sacrifices and allows Jim to come. And so I want to acknowledge Jim and Pat here today. And last is certainly not least, Chair Lee and the entire Board of Directors of the Louisville Urban League, if you could please stand where you are. I could not do anything without their support. They are who I report to, and they hear you, they get your calls too. They know, and they're waiting with bated breath about what I might say today. And so I just really I want to thank the board for everything, really. And just, I want to thank Louisville so much. This has been an amazing ride coming on to the Louisville Urban League. And I think it could not have happened at a better time, at a better moment. When the U.S. Supreme Court declared its approval of segregation in the 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson decision, the brutal system of economic, social, and political oppression adopted in the South rapidly transformed the trickle of blacks leaving the South into an absolute flood. In 1910, the National Urban League was created to help blacks capitalize on the opportunities available to them in the North, and to help them develop critical skills needed for jobs. The Louisville Urban League was founded only 10 years later. In 1921, we were incorporated. The Louisville Urban League is a nonpartisan organization. We support those who support our mission and the people we are working to uplift and empower. Our support is about the livelihood of those we serve. Our support has to do with all people having health care coverage. Our support has to do with taking care of soldiers coming home from war and getting access to quality health care, including mental health treatment. Our support has to do with environmental justice. Our support has to do with funding job training programs that benefit Black people in this community. Our support has to do with being able to help get those who have served their time and are trying to go on with their lives a fighting chance. Our support has to do with giving access for expungements. It's one thing to make them available. It's another thing to make them accessible. It costs hundreds of dollars to have your record expunged. Our support has to do with being able to build affordable housing throughout our city, not just in West Louisville. We are done with concentrating poverty.
All right.
Being poor is not a crime. In fact, at the rate things are going, being poor is more American than being rich. Having our support has to do with tax reform that is being proposed and how devastating it would be to so many Americans. Having our support has to do with our survival. Our support has to do with closing achievement gaps for students like those you see in Street Academy. Our support has to do with the school board figuring out a way for the money to follow the need and for more seasoned teachers to go to schools with the highest needs, even if we have to pay something more. We will not go back to a more segregated society. We understand the code words. Our support has to do with funding needed social justice programs like ours. It has to do with making America great again, or great at all, and great for whom, and under what conditions do some have to live in order for America to be great, and great for who? Ladies and gentlemen, we have got to do better by those that have been broken by unjust and unfair and discriminatory policies. We have got to do better. We cannot claim to love God and abandon each other. Humans can live 40 days without food, 3 days without water, 8 minutes without air. But I do not know how you survive with no hope. Let me tell you about having no hope. All you do is imagine how you'll die. Every moment is a suicide mission. When your community has been redlined out of prosperity, hope is decimated. Some people grow closer to God when their hope is low. Others grow closer to gangs because they see that mama and daddy and grandma and auntie and uncle have been praying to God. And when they look around, it doesn't seem that God is answering. They don't necessarily see hope. Why are we suffering so? Why do we have to march through the streets and claim that Black Lives Matter? And in response, hear that all lives matter. Don't you know we know that? We have evidence that some lives matter. But there is no evidence for all of us. Our support has to do with ending racism and discrimination. This country has been critical of Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. 250 years of slavery, 90 years of Jim Crow, 60 years of discriminatory housing policy, and 1 year under this administration. We ought to all be on our knees. When we think of how our country was founded and even how it is maintained, as Sports Illustrated said, it is a rare person who gives up what he loves in exchange for what he believes. That man is a hero. He is, in my opinion, the reincarnation of Ali. And you will recall that there was a time when we hated him too. Some people want Kaepernick just to shut up, go away, stand up, salute the flag, and shut up, because we can tolerate other human beings being abused. But we cannot tolerate our entertainment being disrupted. this country. There is a way that we dismiss women, we dismiss poor people, we dismiss people of color. We are to have no voice, too stupid to get it, too disrespectful. We ought to be thankful. We just don't get the big picture. They won't even let me watch football in peace. In 2017, we are fighting about whether or not Confederate monuments ought to come down. I did an interview on Fox News. It is the most hate I have ever received in my life, and you know me, so you know I have received some hate. I have been called a lot of bad words, words that I won't even repeat. In 1869, General William T. Collins, a white man who fought for the Union, wrote, "We strew flowers on the graves of our comrades and prevent them from being strewn in the national cemeteries at the same time on graves of such rebel dead as may be buried therein. Because we seek to mark in this distinction and manner the feelings with which the nation regards freedom and slavery, loyalty and treason, mere courage, never ennoble treason. It cannot turn slavery into liberty or make despotic intentions desirable and to be applauded virtue. Our refusal to decorate rebel graves marks our undying hostility to the ideas for which Confederate soldiers fought and died. To do less than keep this distinction fresh in the national mind is to undermine the republic itself." And now our children are fighting, dying, killing, and celebrating gangbangers. If we look around and wonder where they got it. In what world is it normal for a church to post a sign that says, "Jesus was wrongfully accused, vote Roy Moore," who is accused of preying on children? All of this abuse that we hear about, it is about the abuse of power. Who are we? What have we become? As I look back at our history, maybe I think, maybe we are what we have always been. And maybe today, maybe it is time for real change. If we type #MeToo for everyone in this country that experienced racism, we could crash Facebook. How do we change? What do we do? There's so many things wrong. But you know what? In rooms like these, with people like you, I cannot help but feel so much hope. I feel so much hope. Because I feel like we have the power to fix big things. There are folks like you who stand up and say, "Not on my watch." There have always been countless numbers of good people of all races, faiths, and gender who believe in equity and equality and have been willing to stand their ground. And that's what you do. That's why you're here. Because of you, we can do what we do. And we must do the work of the Urban League. We must empower people. We must help people that society has thrown away. Last year, we had 23,000 visits to the Louisville Urban League. 23,000 in 12 months. 3,000 3,540 of those visits, thank you, were to our workforce department. 1,612 of those folks, some of those just came in, they used the computers, they may have talked to somebody else, they may have gone to another program. 1,612 were served. 690 worked with a career counselor. 37 of them last year completed a brand new national certification program that we have. 135 seniors were trained in our Urban Seniors Job Program. Listen to me, that is $2 million in trainee wages. $2 million. And check this out, this is important. 251 people were placed into jobs. You know the impact of that? $5.15 million in new wages in this community. That is the impact of the workforce work at the Louisville Urban League. In education, we had 600 student enrollments. It was a record-setting year. All of our kids get promoted. Oh, maybe all of our kids get promoted. We have Project Ready, Glow. We take the kids on college tours. We help them do financial aid forms. We had 3,500 young people participate in our events, whether it was chess, anti-bullying, SAT prep, college tours. We decreased absenteeism. You cannot learn if you're not there. Our youth saw a reduction in disciplinary issues. We put 63 parents through Parent Leadership Academy. That is the impact of our education. We don't even put a dollar amount on it. I don't even know how to value that. In our health, 90% of participants enrolled in our Humana Foundation funded It Starts With Me. And 90% of those folks had their issues resolved, their barriers removed in 90 days. 73% had fewer visits to the ER. 53% had an increase in healthy days. That is the work of the Louisville Urban League. We had a man come into the league and he said, I have cancer, but don't worry about that. I got 2 kids and I need a place to live. I need a job right now. And we did what we do. We helped him. That's what we do. And I don't think people understand the work that it takes to prepare somebody before we send them to you. We want to send you people that are ready to work, that can last, because retention matters. We know what that costs. This is the impact of our health initiative. Housing, 3,045 families were served in a year. 1,181 people attended financial education classes. 72 went through mortgage readiness and bought houses. Financial impact, $5.5 million in new mortgages in this community, in 1 year. 535 people went through our foreclosure prevention and mortgage default counseling. We prevented $11.5 million in foreclosure. 11.5. Our building sits in the heart of the community, devastated by redlining. Redlining that happened in many of your lifetime. We did all of this at 15th and Broadway. The impact of the work, over $25 million. We also, and this is important, we are one of the largest sites for income taxes. We partner with the Louisville Asset Building Coalition and Community Services to do income taxes. We are the largest site in Louisville. All of that work all of that work, we couldn't do any of it without you. And so that is why I feel hope. That is why I feel hopeful. With your help and investment, the Urban League will always have a voice. And as you saw from the videos, and because you know us, we will serve anybody who comes through our doors. We will work toward justice. We will work towards equality. We will continue to educate on financial empowerment and the importance of home ownership. So when these first-time home buyers buy homes, they actually can keep them. But we need you to help us in acknowledging that lower incomes make it harder to save and build wealth. And that leads to generations of poverty and often to vicious life struggles. And some of those things we see playing out. Unemployment and very low incomes nurture violence and create an environment where children simply don't see how hard work pays off. And it is up to us to make sure that there is hope in our community. I have said it before and I will say it again. We are and we remain in a fight for the soul of our country. Not just our country, but our city. And how we come out on the other side of this will define who we are. We cannot be comfortable with status quo. We cannot be comfortable with anybody being left behind. We cannot be comfortable with a policy in place that is good for me, but not good for them. We have to be our brother's keepers. We must be our sister's keepers. There are so many tough things happening in this world. But because you are in this room, because you are here with the Urban League, I have never had more faith than I do today. And I think sometimes it is in the valleys where we find our strength, when we find our courage. We all want for ourselves, for our families, for the people we love. We all want the American dream. And I would submit to you that the only way you can have it is if you help to ensure that we all do. I am so proud of this city. And I know sometimes, and maybe right now, it doesn't feel like we have the right to be so proud. I know that the homicide rate is very high and there are some challenges, but let me tell you, you have no idea what programs and projects and organizations like the Urban League and other things that have happened in this city, what violence has been prevented. Just like there were some things I couldn't put a dollar amount on. I don't know what to tell you it was worth if I saved the life of a child, but I can assure you, every day we show up at work, that is what we do. I once heard a story that I love so much. Maya Angelou said she was laying in her bed, and as she lay there, she heard footsteps. First, she heard the door creak. I'm so sorry, this is my favorite and I cannot mess this up. She heard this door, and she knew it was her back door opening. And then she heard footsteps. And she sat up in the bed and she said to whomever it was walking, "Is this what you are willing to die doing?" And then she heard footsteps. Going the other way. And then the door. And it closed. And I want to tell you something, Louisville. This, I am willing to die doing. Thank you.